Hi, Ginger, Devotionals with Ginger, still reading The Chosen, 40 Days with Jesus, Book 1. We are on day 12. Rejected. And he said, "Truly I say to you, no prophet is acceptable in his hometown." When they heard these things, all in the synagogue were filled with wrath. And they rose up and drove him out of town and brought him to the brow of a hill on which their town was built, so that they could throw him down the cliff. But passing through their midst, he went away. Luke 4:24, and then 28 through 30. As the saying goes, familiarity breeds contempt, which means when Jesus went home for a visit, it didn't go so great. He attended synagogue and volunteered to read, and when he sat back down and said, "Today this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing," that's Luke 4:21, they seemed cool with it. Jesus was being gracious enough, odd, but gracious, so they spoke well of him. That's in verse 22. But then Jesus didn't return the favor. Knowing their hearts, he responded with, "No prophet is accepted in his hometown." That's verse 24. It was a dig. He followed up with the reminder that Elijah and Elisha weren't sent to heal their own people because it would have been a waste of time. Jesus effectively told his hometown crowd that they had the same issue as their Old Testament relatives, and they came unglued. So much so, they wanted him dead. With scant provocation from the guy they'd known for 30 years, the Nazarenes became so insanely offended and incensed that they drove Jesus out of town and up a hill so they could throw him off a cliff. They were going to murder Mary and Joseph's boy. Extreme? Yes. Expected? You bet. That day, Jesus had read from the prophet Isaiah, who proclaimed the coming Messiah, along with the response the Messiah's presence would engender from humankind. He would be despised and rejected. Isaiah 53:3. Sad. These people knew Jesus. They should have been all the more in awe of God's power and authority clearly on display in him. What the heck else could it be? He was the carpenter who grew up with them, and now he was preaching and healing all over the place. But we tend to reject anything or anyone that represents a big change in understanding or perspective, even if it comes from someone familiar. Especially if it comes from someone familiar. The notion that what they thought they knew could be wrong was as incomprehensible as the notion of changing your mind in a Facebook argument. So they hardened their hearts, hated him, and tried to push him off a cliff. In doing so, they fulfilled Old Testament prophecy. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one whom people hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem. That's Isaiah 53:3. The irony. Prayer focus. Ask God to give you the humility necessary to hear truth when it's spoken, as well as the wisdom and clarity to know to know how to respond. And I'm sorry about that. It came out of nowhere. Oops, excuse me. Excuse me. The moving forward bullets. Are you more likely to accept advice or godly counsel from a close friend or a mere acquaintance? Why or why not? And what caused people to despise and reject Jesus? What was it that caused you to reject him prior to your salvation? When was the last time you changed your perspective or realized you were wrong about something significant? If it's hard to remember, that might be something to work on. Thanks again for letting me share, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Have a great day.